Hey guys, this is EcksToo. Hello and welcome to another Star Wars Squadrons video. So, a couple of days ago at Gamescom, we got a new look at Star Wars Squadrons and Lego Star Wars. Charlie, Corey, and I actually co-streamed the entire event, so if you want to see our reactions to not only those trailers, but everything else announced and shown at the opening night celebrations, you can check the link I've included down in the description. Today, however, we'll be looking at several details that you may or may not have noticed in the Star Wars Squadrons trailer, and I'm gonna skip talking about things that you guys probably will find kind of obvious, like the fact that Rogue Squadron is mentioned or Admiral Ray Sloan is in the trailer, and instead I want to talk about things that I picked up having played the game, and specifically having played a couple of levels of the campaign, and just generally being a really big Star Wars nerd. With that being said, there will be some slight spoilers for the first maybe 30 minutes or so of the campaign, the prologue for both the Empire and the New Republic, so if you want to go in completely fresh, which I would understand, maybe click away and come back after to see how well I did. Alright, so the first detail I want to talk about is the opening part of the trailer, where we have Princess Leia talking about the destruction of Alderaan and how that would fuel a growing rebellion. Now, this wasn't a cinematic just made for the trailer, and in fact, Star Wars Squadrons has cutscenes in this format, which are actually really cool. They're almost like propaganda posters brought to life, and I'm unsure whether this will be something that is used throughout the entire game or just the prologue, but we did also see one from Darth Vader. I think a lot of people really enjoy the idea of propaganda in Star Wars, myself included, and these uber stylized cutscenes just come out looking really cool. That being said, these are also mixed with traditional in-engine cutscenes, so if you really hate them for some reason, there's still some traditional video game stuff in there as well. The next point I wanted to mention comes from the other side of the trailer and is one that many of you probably realized, but some of you didn't. We see the Starhawk begin to activate its sort of secret weapon in the last shot of the trailer, and that is its highly advanced tractor beam. And Starhawks were cutting edge technology. They were basically disassembled Imperial Star Destroyers made to beat basically anything else on the battlefield. One major technological innovation came in their tractor beam, which was like an order of magnitude more powerful than the Imperial Star Destroyers, and a Starhawk using a tractor beam was actually crucial in taking down the Ravager, an Executor class Super Star Destroyer, at the Battle of Jakku. Alright, so my next point is just all about ships, and there is lots of ship stuff in this trailer. I've done a whole video talking about the various capital ships that will appear in Star Wars Squadrons, so if you've seen that, this trailer wouldn't have surprised you. However, if you missed that video, you would have seen the MC-80 for the first time. There's a Quasar off to the side, which you will miss if you're not paying attention. And there's also the well-known BFF freighter from Star Wars Legends, specifically appearing in the old X-Wing and TIE Fighter games. I love that the BFF has made its way not only back into Star Wars canon, but into a game like this, which is clearly a spiritual successor to X-Wing and TIE Fighter. Another thing that I saw a lot of conversation about was whether the TIE Fighters are hyperspace capable, and no, not quite. We do see TIE fighters traveling through hyperspace, but if you pay attention, and it is sort of difficult to notice when you're just watching the trailer, they've actually docked with the Gazanti, which how you enter and presumably exit many of the battles where you're not supported by a Star Destroyer or a carrying capable cruiser like a Quasar, for example. There does seem to be a couple of weird details with the Gazantis. First of all, they have their landing struts down, and I didn't notice that in the version I played. It could just be that they only have one model, which I think would honestly be fine, but it's also very possible that this scene just had to be rendered specifically for this trailer, and it was just easiest to do it that way. I didn't notice this next point, but some users on Reddit did. If you actually really slow down the shot of the Gazanti jumping into battle, you'll see that the TIE fighters aren't actually a part of the model until it enters real space, or like a second after, and again, that's something that I would never really notice, and it's probably just to save on resources, but yeah, kind of interesting. Another nice little detail is that the TIE Reaper, of course, the support ship for the Empire, doesn't need to dock with the Gazanti because it actually has an onboard hyperdrive of its own. The last thing I want to mention about ships is that the CR-90s used by the New Republic at this point are quite heavily armed. So almost every Corellian Engineering Corporation vessel is heavily customizable, and the CR-90 is one of the best examples of that. It was modular, parts were very easy to swap out, and we do see different different variants of the CR90 with different weapon loadouts. I'd say the most common CR90 variant has 4 single turbo lasers, sort of mounted 2 on each side above where the escape pods would be, and then either 1 or 2 double turbo lasers mounted down the spine of the ship. However, the CR90s here have an additional 2 single turbo lasers, an extra 1 on each side, and have both the ventral and dorsal double turbo laser. So it's a pretty heavily armed variant of the CR90, and actually one that we've seen before. Interestingly now, if you watch the reveal trailer for Star Wars Squadrons, there's actually a shot with CR90s where it looks like they don't have any mounted weaponry. I wonder if one of the shipyards during the game is performing refits or something, maybe even the Nadiri shipyards where the Starhawk is also being made. Alright, so next up we have drift, and this is a pretty small one, but I've talked a lot about the drift mechanic in Star Wars Squadrons, mostly because it's just a stupid amount of fun. Basically how it works is when you're using a boost, which you accumulate by running with full powered engines, you can immediately cut your engines, which sort of allows you to spin around and perform some really crazy maneuvers. We actually get 2 really good examples of that in the trailer, which I'll show you guys right now. And I'll just say the potential for this mechanic and for a really skilled player to just destroy a lesser skilled one is really there. And my favorite part of playing Star Wars Squadrons is like the depth of movement. You can do a lot in the game. And there's a lot to learn about the best speed to maneuver your ship, when you can afford to go full out on throttle, when you should slow down to a stop almost, when you can go at like a medium speed. And the movement really just feels perfect, especially the fact that you can totally cut power to your engines and just float there. Anyway, my final thing that I noticed was the fact that the briefing we get before that mission looks very much like something out of the old TIE Fighter games. It's sort of like a real version of what the TIE Fighter games tried to approximate, I'd suppose. But yeah, after just playing Ace Combat, I like the idea of going over your mission with a commander beforehand. That way you can sort of modify your ship's loadout, you can decide on a general strategy and what targets you want to hit first. That of course can all be thrown out the window when, say, a New Republic task force arrives unexpectedly, or you have to do something that wasn't in the original mission parameters. All in all though, there was a lot of really small details in this trailer that you guys may have missed not having played the game before, or if you've watched a lot of my videos, or if you've got a really keen eye, maybe these are all things you've picked up on already. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite small detail was, and I'm really curious to see whether you guys picked up on anything that I didn't mention in this video. I'll be reading all of the comments, so make sure you stop by and say hello. Until next time though guys, this has been your host, EcksToo. If you want to support the channel, consider checking out the Patreon. It's patreon.com/EcksToo. There's a lot of really awesome rewards, and of course there's a link to that down in the description. Please be safe guys, and as always, may the Force be with you.